I think we're ready.
So it's not one who's
Yes, I need to take a picture of you. Welcome. Thank you for supporting the East Orrington Congregational Church Bean Supper and the Orrington Old Home Week Committee and the Orrington Historical Society. This is definitely a joint effort. We're celebrating here tonight the Crook family. Just a few slides on the Gliddens, but the Gliddens will have their own PowerPoint at some point because they're quite a well-known family. To start off, I do want to say that I didn't know anything about the Crooks until I met Donna. And Donna, how did we meet?
We met because you posted my mother's picture on the Historical Society page, her high school graduation from Brewer in 1937.
Okay, so I had posted on Facebook her
That's
mother's
right.
high school graduation
Right,
picture.
and you said, is this Dorothea Crook from the Crook family in Orrington?
And I bet you answered that it was.
Cindy and I both did, yes.
Okay.
It's us.
And then that happened. And this is just October of last year, and things have just snowballed. I know more about the Crooks than I know about the Bowdens. I know those are fighting words. One of the things that I do need to mention, Donna and Doug, her husband Doug, they have been to visit Orrington 3 times now from Brunswick. And one of the wonderful things that they did was they took a very small picture of this sesquicentennial, August 3rd, 1938, Orrington's sesquicentennial. It was about this big, and they blew it up, Doug blew it up, and used what do they call it? Photoshop, and cleaned it up. And he framed it and did this for us. But the important part of this is this. Doug, and maybe you too, Donna, I don't know, but anyway, he also made this chart so that every face on the sesquicentennial has a space here and a number. When we started, Doug had typed in just 3 people: Virginia Smith Glidden, Elizabeth Glidden Crook, and Ethelbert. Oh, Burnham Crook, and I didn't know that was his middle name. So we had those typed in, and I'm hoping, Doug, you would like to take this home tonight and continue to work on it. He will type, he's got the program at home, he'll type the rest of the names. We have received 2 more names since yesterday. So considering this is last October when we started working together, we've done very well. And of course, that again was a Crook-related project. Our PowerPoint tonight is about the Crook family. I wish I could say that it is totally organized, but it is not. But the information is still there. Please feel free to speak up. Also, when I have made spelling mistakes, genealogical mistakes, grammar mistakes, would you please note it and tell me later, or put it on a napkin or something, because students will be using this at Center Drive after us, and who knows else, because all of our work that we do for the Historical Society goes on carbonite, and we do have people in town that research our work. So, okay, let's start. Okay, this is Luther Crook and his wife Esther James, and they are Milo Crook's parents, probably. By the way, would you raise your hand if you are a relation to the Crooks? So I get oh my goodness. Okay, quite a few of you. It's wonderful. Okay, let's go to the next slide. And if you want to interject anything, it's quite all right. Oh, and we just love this picture. This is Ina. Isn't she just beautiful? And she's with her oldest son, Ethelbert. And of course, here she is a little bit older. I do call this a problem. As many pictures as I have received, I have not found a picture of Milo that's clear and crisp like these two, or one of him as a youngster playing or doing something. So if any of you Crook descendants have a picture of Milo, we'd appreciate it. We have older, of course. Okay, go ahead. Milo Ethelbert Crook, and obviously he's a little older at this point. And this is the stone where they're buried, along with Dorothy. And would I be right, Donna, to say that your mother's name was somewhat related to the Dorothy daughter that passed away within a month?
Yes, they were sisters, but 3 years apart.
They were sisters, but 3 years apart.
So Ina lost that child at about 6 weeks old.
So Ina lost the child.
And then tried again and had my mother.
Okay, and they named her Dorothea. Okay, let's go ahead. I thought we should orient you to what East Orrington looked like. Of course, this is not East Orrington, but you would have gone to the town office for your meetings, town meetings, and for paying your taxes. Would have been, at the early stage, it would have been a ride with a horse and buggy, but later, of course, by truck, or whatever. This is my favorite picture, and that's a postcard that's come in fairly recently. That is Smith's Grocery, but now we call it Cozy Corner. It's been a number of different cozy corners just since I've been in town. And if you look up in the corner, up in the right corner, you'll see the Crook farm. Everybody sees it? Okay. And across the street from their house was the first East Orrington school, and so many people want to tell me that the Burns Memorial School was part of this church, and that was the first school, but it's not the first school. The Burns Memorial was our second consolidated school here in town. The first one was North Orrington in 1925. This school came in in 1928. And across the street at the Sedge-Yunkadunk Stream, and yes, I do know how to spell that. We had Bangor Lumber Company, and there were a number of other mills along that site. Okay, go ahead. Milo and Ina's children. And isn't it a beautiful one, Priscilla? And Priscilla is Ethelbert's daughter. So she's very connected. So you have not seen this one?
No, I never did.
Oh, okay. This is Donna's mother, Donna back there, Dorothea. And who here is related to Harvey? Okay, that's Mary Ellen. Okay. And I found a picture of her in her wedding gown the other day, and it's just lovely. I have it, but it's not on the PowerPoint. Who is related to Ethelbert? Okay, quite a few of you for Ethelbert. And Dorothea? Just no? More than, okay. Yeah, I guess so. Okay, let's go ahead. Oh, and down here you can't see it, but it does, this is signed by Ethelbert. It's his signature at the bottom. I don't think you can see it. Now, we're switching from the Crook family to the young Glidden family. Now, Bob Glidden is here, and he also went to Orrington Corner School, but so did your Aunt Elizabeth. When they moved into town, they lived on the River Road, what we call the River Road now, and her parents were Lizzie and John, right, Bob?
Right.
Okay. And so here she is. This is Elizabeth. And there she is a little bit older. Anybody have anything to say about that? Of course, this was a one-room school, and yes, it is still standing. It's on Center Drive. It rolled across the field. It was on the River Road, came across the field on these big rollers. I don't understand the technology to it, but it's now looks like a Cape Cod house. Just like Elizabeth and Al Bicknell, they also live in one of these one-room schools on the Sweats Pond Road, the Pond School. Okay, go ahead. Betty, would you like to speak about your mother here?
Well, I can add that the picture of Nanny sitting with Colonel Sanders was taken just shortly before she passed away, and we all got Christmas cards that year. She died on Thanksgiving Day, and we all got a Christmas card anyway. Aunt Betty made sure that we all got a picture of Nanny with Colonel Sanders.
That's one of Betty's favorite pictures of her mother, right? Betty, I wish you could be up here. Do you want to, okay.
Calm down.
Betty and I have worked together quite a bit, as well as Donna and.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Get out of the way.
Okay. This kind of looks funny, but Betty's mother, Elizabeth Glidden Crook, kept scrapbooks for 50 years. And they are just, oh, they're here, and they are a delight. Lots of information in them. When we're working on different kinds of PowerPoints, like we have one coming up on Orrington's transportation in September, there's information in those scrapbooks because of what she saved. It wasn't just about family, she just cared about her community.
Anything to do with Orrington?
Anything. It was just wonderful. We're also doing a program in November on how World War II affected the Orrington people here at home. It's not about the veterans, it's about what was going on here in Orrington. All kinds of information in her books.
That's what that picture is. Ida Kelly.
Oh, would you tell about Ida Kelly, please?
Well, Ida Kelly, she was my next door neighbor. But this is her right here. She was a nurse. Sorry, but I couldn't forget to tell about.
I want you to tell about Priscilla.
One time my cat was having a kitten and I thought the guts were coming out and I called Ida. I said, come quick, the guts are coming out of the cat. And there was a kitty. This was during the war and she was taught all these ladies first aid and all that kind of thing. So that's what that is, and that's my mother right there.
Would you tell her about Priscilla falling out of the hill?
Oh, yeah.
Priscilla.
And that's my sister right there. She's the old one. But anyways, we're playing in the band. We used to play in the band all the time. And we were walking along the beams. And she come around one side and she tripped over a sleigh that was there and landed on the barn floor. And actually she fractured her skull. My brother went running in the house, hollering to my mother, come quick, come quick. Priscilla fell and she's not crying. Because she used to cry all the time. But she fractured her skull, she was on the danger list for a week. And so, I mean, it was scary. She's still scary.
These two are always teasing each other. Okay, next slide, please. Yes, Keith?
I'll just comment. Right next to my mother, who's pictured up there, is Carolyn Howard, who's right here.
Carolyn Howard is in here?
Yes.
And I don't know where your mother is.
The checkered
Oh,
white
you know what we don't
needle
have is
laser
our
pointer.
pointers.
I got one.
Oh,
Oh, you have one. Oh, you were pretty.
you mean people walk around with laser pointers in their pockets?
It's a stylist for the phone,
That's
too.
Ellen Andrews. That's McLean. Kate's here.
Keith, who's your mother? Who's your mother?
Thelma Bowden.
Okay.
That's Carolyn right there.
That's Carolyn Howard, right there. Carolyn Howard, would you raise your hand, please? You raise your hand, there's Carolyn.
Lillian Hardy.
Lillian Howard.
Lillian Hardy right there. Let me see, who else? I know. He. Do you know any of the fella?
Okay.
Tenny.
Laura Tenney.
Tenny.
And Laura Tenney lived in the East Orrington School, that one-room schoolhouse a few slides back.
Aren't all the names on top?
Yes. Yeah, all the names are up there. And I do want to mention that Carolyn Howard, who is here in this picture and here tonight, she is the Orrington's Boston Cane recipient. She is our oldest resident, and she still attends things.
Go back.
Okay, you can go ahead.
Okay.
Now, these are two distant relatives of the Glidden family. I've read quite a bit now about Joseph Glidden. He and two other men, and I can't remember the year of the fair, I think it was 1878 in Illinois, and they saw how a farmer had tied wire onto his fencing to keep his cows in at the fair, and so the three of them got together and they came up with this idea for a barbed wire fence. There were other people who did it, but Glidden did, and all three of them put in a patent, but Glidden is the one who won the case and got some recognition and money out of that. In fact, the name of his barbed wire is called, capital T-H, The Winner. And this was a typewriter invented, well, no, we wouldn't call it invented. There were many people who worked on typewriters, many, many, many people. But this one was bought out by Remington, so that makes it pretty important. And you can see that his name is on there. Okay, good enough. Okay, I'm going to read this. Today, Orrington, okay, first of all, this is Dorothea Crook, Donna's mother, in 1937. Today, Orrington, meeting the needs of a more unified community, has a post office, a congregational church, 4 Methodist churches, 2 lodges, a grange, a public library, and several schoolhouses. There has been no hotel since the days of the old tavern, and that would be the Loud House at Orrington Corner. An RFD carrier delivers mail to all parts of town. The town has electric lights and telephones extending even to the lakes, where a number of summer people have become property owners. In the 3 or 4 more closely settled parts of town, there are 7 people engaged in general storekeeping and 1 in millinery. The town has a resident physician, and we all know who that resident physician is, right?
Yeah.
Dr.
Dietrich?
Oh, the one who did so many deliveries. Tibbets. 2 B's and 2 T's. I had to learn that. Progress. Okay, go ahead. This is what the Crook farm looked like. But Betty, tell them what's wrong with all of these pictures. About the L.
Well, to start with, there was an L on here. We had a porch. The porch was, both of the hired men slept on the porch. There was room with a fence, a screen all the way around. We had a swing out there, and we had tables that we could have a big crowd to get together. And they aren't there in the new, when they rebuilt it. But the milk room was attached here. But this is the milk room they rebuilt. My father said he didn't want it near the house again because this got caught on fire.
I should have put the fire first.
Well,
Paulette, remind me of that. Put the fire first.
yeah, well, yeah, my sister and I, actually, we used to put up milk. As a kid growing up, that's how we earned some of our money. We used to put up milk. We'd deliver the milk sometimes around town and on the weekends. And we had a new truck. I think, you got a picture of the new truck?
I think so, yes.
And I'm standing on the running board on the side, and the guy that's driving stopped quick, and I right out the door.
And what Betty calls the milk room, after they stopped farming, became a garage, but it was also the Orrington Fire Department. And I meant to include a picture of the fire truck coming out of the door, but I forgot to add that one, and there's plenty of room. So, Paulette, that's the second thing I'm going to add.
And that building still stands.
And this building is still, oh, are you here? The woman who lives in the house?
No, that came from me. The building still stands.
Okay, but there was the man and woman who live in the house were going to come tonight. I guess they didn't.
Reggie,
Okay. Go ahead.
Sherman.
Reggie Sherman.
Yes.
Sherman.
Right. I can't, and I guess she's like a Facebook friend of ours. By the way, we have a very active Facebook page. This is the silo, and on those home movies that were taken over there, they were done by your father, Ethelbert, right? The farm extension basically are the people, they came and they helped to build this. And Betty said that the top of the silo is not showing here, the roof, and it had the letters for Sejiunkadunk going around the top. So if anybody has a picture of that, I sure would like to have that for our collection.
It's on the film.
It is on the film.
It's on the film.
Do we know how to isolate those pictures? That would be we need to get a technology person on that. And I'm sure most of you have probably read this, but somebody is trying to explain, stop complaining about the price of milk when you consider the price of whiskey, I think. And Betty, will you tell them about how much your milk was?
Oh. Yeah, our milk was 29 cents for 2 quarts. When I was helping delivering the milk. So,
I think that's great.
Judy, that silo was rebuilt, I'm gonna say in 1960. And all that was there, they tore down the old silo and all that was there was the cement base.
Yes?
And Irene was told not to climb on the cement base, and Irene climbed onto the
This
cement
is you.
base and fell into the sewers. And my father picked me up out of the sewerage. He was not happy, and he said, "You march yourself upstairs and get to your mother right now."
And she'll deal with you.
She stripped me of my clothes outside, standing on the roof, and those clothes were thrown away.
You're just a little too dirty. Oh, and Betty, will you tell them about the fermenting?
oh, yeah, when that was silage, it was full of silage. And it would leak out through all the cracks and so forth. You could drink that stuff. And you might get a little loaded. Did you do it, Neil? Yeah. He's guilty.
Gary, wherever you are, I found Neil. I could hear you someplace. There you are. Okay. And this is the sesquicentennial and the Thalberts there. All the people are listed. And Elizabeth is not near her husband, but you can get a gander of how tall a Thalbert was. And that comes up several times. And one of the things that I have not done, Donna and Doug, I have not compared these costumes to these costumes. So we might be able to get at least 2 more people out of this, which would be great. Any questions or comments? No? Okay, go ahead. Oh, no sense me talking about this one. Oh, and I will,
Fired?
I've got
This happened in 1940. Now right here is Priscilla, myself, and Polly Kelly.
Can't see it, Mom. Thank you.
Okay, Priscilla, myself, we had bathing suits on. We were down to Sedgehunky downstream swimming. And we heard somebody hollering, and we thought they were hollering to us. So we came up from the stream, and that's when we saw the fire. And it was the hired man. He was in the milk room. He was washing the bottles when the furnace blew up. So he was hollering actually for his brother, who came down the road with the horses. But anyways, Waldo Pierce is the one that painted this painting.
Is that him? Right there.
He's right here. Waldo, yeah, there he is.
Where's Waldo? Makes you wonder.
He painted himself in almost all his paintings. But anyways, we didn't know anything about this painting. And I think probably it was 20 years or more after it was painted that my brother happened to have a Yankee or Down East magazine, and he saw the picture in it. So then I went and called Farnsworth Museum, and I asked if I could send a photographer down, because I work for Channel 2, and have a picture taken of it. And they said it's not necessary. I can send you a negative, which is what they did. So we got a picture of that too, don't we?
We do.
For my mother and father's anniversary that year, I had a picture done, framed, and we gave it to them, and they had never seen it before.
I have that one.
And then about 3-4 years ago, I called the museum to see if the family could come down and see the painting, because we'd never seen it. and they have it in storage. And they said they would get it out of storage for us. They set a date and everything. I had somebody from the news come down, and we all went down. There was quite a few of us there, and we got to see the painting for the first time, and it was big. I can't remember now what the size, but it was about that size there at least, bigger. But anyways, it was lovely, and it just was something we never even knew was there, you know.
It's called, oh, maybe the title's there, yes.
Well, the title is Fire at East Orrington.
Betty, was there another fire after this, or was this the only one?
No, there was another fire here with another builder, with somebody else. This burned, and then there was they rebuilt, and that burned.
The china closet that I have came out of this fire then.
Yes.
You
Yes.
still have that?
I have it.
Would you please send us a
And the
picture?
glass is still cracked,
Oh
it's
my
bowed,
God.
when it comes around like this, where it's bowed, there's a crack in the glass from moving it out of this fire, and I've never replaced it, the crack
Thank
is
you,
still
it's
there.
wonderful. Oh, and tell them about your connection to the church with this fire.
Oh,
The
yes.
parents, please, that's pretty important.
Because of living on a farm, they had to be able to take care of the cows, milk the cows, and do something with the milk, because they lost the milk room. Two of the different farmers in Orrington gave them the use of their milk room and equipment so that they could do the milk. And they moved up to the church vestry. Well, when this was the old church,
Across the street.
across the street, and they strung blankets to divide the rooms. We had two hired men, Aunt Dot, and my grandfather, that lived there for at least 6 to 8 months
In the church vestry.
in the church vestry. I can remember at Christmas time coming down and sitting on my grandfather's lap. He always had his hair parted in the middle. And we'd part the hair and we'd fix it, and it never would be straight. I'd come down his nose trying to get it to be just right, and I never did get it right. But that was the first year we went with, where are they? Harvey. We went to your house for Christmas,
Mary Ellen's house?
Mary Ellen. That was the first time we didn't have, because we always had the Christmas at the farm.
Well, I guess I was only 2, so I. She's older than.
I was 2 and a half.
Good comeback, Betty. Yes, sir.
Can you tell us where the fire trucks came from? And did they have any problem getting to the farm?
That's her other son.
they were right at the farm.
Oh, that's Donald.
That's my other son. I got 2 of them.
I know Gary pretty well now.
Well, evidently, when they came from Brewer, the fire trucks came from Brewer, Waldo Pierce wanted to get to the fire before they laid the hoses. And he wouldn't get out of the way of the fire trucks. So, but he did have, the hoses ended up being here anyways. The only one that really got hurt was Pratt Smith. He broke his arm. And he was, Pratt Smith lived next door.
That's why Dad started the fire department, because of that fire.
Priscilla said that's why Dad, Thalbert, started the fire department. Okay, it was important.
He was fire chief for a number of years because he was there all the time, so he could get to the fire whenever they had one.
Did you find a red phone?
We have put an appeal out on Facebook for at least a picture of the red phone. There are 12 red phones. I went to the fire department. They don't have one, and they'd like to have one. But I'm hoping somebody in Orrington does, and so we could at least have a record of it. So if you know of one, please contact us.
Check
Look
this
at them.
Hey, imagine that.
At the time of this, I was 7. My sister was 9, because I told her she was older. And Polly Kelly, who was about 5 years older than that. But we were so upset, my sister and I in particular, that we dug, this was a garden in here, there was a garden. We almost buried ourselves, screaming and digging. It was so upsetting.
You're all cried out. Okay. Okay, go ahead. Yes, Donald, did you want to say, Donna?
I
Donna.
wanted to ask Betty, isn't there a story too about Grandma Ina losing a ring?
Oh, yes.
Go back.
Can you go back to the, because they were throwing things out of the window upstairs here. That was their bedroom. And people down here collecting it. And my grandmother lost her wedding ring, her diamond. And in the paper it said this little boy named Jean White. And Jean was heartbroken because she's a girl. And they called her a boy. She's the one that found the ring.
Jeannie McHale.
Yeah, Jean McHale, George Hare's wife.
Oh, a lot of history is coming out tonight, even more. Okay, go ahead, Kate. Dawn, I really need you to talk about your family.
Top is my mother's first marriage to Donald Holyoke. He graduated from the University of Maine in Orono, ROTC program, went into the military, went to Africa, then ended up in Italy, and was killed in Italy. Killed in Italy in 1944. But there are so many Crook members in that photograph.
Who's the flower girl?
James Coldwell is the best man.
James, yes, he was.
Over
And
here.
Joyce, his
Joyce
wife.
McEwen, my
Yes.
sister.
Yeah,
She stood up with Dorothea.
that's right, that's right. And
Do we have that all recorded?
yes, if I looked closer, maybe I can tell you.
And Priscilla and Betty are in here too, aren't they?
That's Jane, very front row left,
Right here?
yes.
Mary
Her
Ellen.
brother, yes.
That's
and
Mary Ellen?
Paul in the middle,
That's
all
me.
children of Harvey. Betty, I don't know the girl,
My
and
sister.
Priscilla on this outside edge.
Priscilla.
I have them labeled. Joyce is the third one in,
Right here.
yes. Joyce, McEwen?
Joyce Coldwell, McEwen.
McEwen Colwell, yep, and I've communicated with her for a long, long time.
92 years old.
Yes, the back row, I don't know the gentleman on the left, I do have the names all listed, but the next one is a Thalbert, because he's the tallest. The next gentleman, I'm not sure. My mom, the bride, Donald Holyoke, the groom, Harvey Crook, and then I'm not sure who that, I have them all labeled. In fact, Joyce sent me her copy of the wedding photo with everybody's name listed on the back, because we didn't know everybody. So, and this is my mom and dad, my mother and father down here in the bottom, and I'm probably blocking somebody. Don Holyoke got sent to Skowhegan, Maine, because he graduated in an agricultural program. And worked there for a short time before he went into the military. He had to hire some people, and one of the people he hired was my father, who lived on the same street as this Grange. And after Don was killed, my grandmother, Ina Crook, was very worried about my mom because she was very depressed, and asked all her friends to write to her and cheer her up and move her forward in life. And my dad was one of the people that started to write her, and after a period of time, they ended up getting married. And then there are three of us, and I'm named after Donald Holyoke.
Donna.
Yep.
Perfect.
So that's,
Donna, thank you.
I think I sent you the picture with all the names on the back.
I have all, in fact, if this was I have all the notes underneath this on my real slideshow.
Good.
And one of the first things that Donna found when she went to the Historical Society building on Center Drive was Elizabeth Crook's scrapbooks, and she found her mother's picture in the newspaper in there. Okay, go ahead. Now this is the one, I think that you called it the Crook, blank blank Crook Dairy, whereas it was called Hillside Dairy as well.
I think that says
Hillside Farm.
M.A. Crook on the door. I think
Is that what you can see? M.A. Crook. So that's Milo Ethelbert Crook.
That's my father right there.
Yep.
That's Ethelbert. Oh, and here is
That's my
Dorothea.
mother, yeah.
See a little hack sticking out there? How many years difference? Quite a few, isn't there?
13 years between she and Ethelbert, and 10 between she and Harvey.
Okay, so she's really the baby. Okay. Oh, did you want to go back? Go back, I guess?
The truck, this truck here is the one that was a fairly new truck, and I stood on the running side right here. The hired man was delivering right there in East Orrington. He stopped quick and choop, out the door open.
Okay. Okay, so here we have Mary Ellen's page, David, Paul. Here they are, and this was a Christmas card, but I also saw it as a photo, Mary Ellen.
Yes, it was, I don't have a copy of it, but it hung, I think the other son got that one.
Okay.
It's the only picture of all of us that was done formally.
Yes.
I
Okay.
have since found a picture of all of us on the rocks at Schoodic Lake,
Oh.
posing for a picture.
Okay.
Yeah,
But they
and-
did take candid pictures, but just not the, sit down, we're gonna do one for the Christmas card.
And look at that one.
Down here?
No, the one in the middle. That, of course, is Paul.
Okay, over here?
I'm in the middle.
Oh, right here.
Yeah, and Jane with the long blonde braids, which I envied like crazy. But somebody had put my hair up. I used to have my hair in rag curls because it was stick straight.
Yes.
So Saturday night, Mother would put rags on my hair to make it curly. So this had to have been taken on a Sunday morning. We're all dressed up for church.
And here's baby David.
And my mother made that coat and hat for David.
Wow.
I remember her agonizing.
Mhm. I think there's a number, even Priscilla, you're a very good seamstress, I heard. Good seamstresses in that family. Okay, and so, of course, here's Harvey and his wife Frances. And Frances was a school teacher here in Orrington. Anybody here have Frances Crook as a teacher? Irene did.
Neil did too.
And you did too, Sharon? And Donna? And Christy and Forth. Can anybody say anything about Frances Crook? Always like to have,
I heard she was a very strict disciplinarian.
yes,
She got Neil to stop sucking his thumb.
yeah, she took care of that matter.
Told him
Okay.
if he didn't stop sucking his thumb, he was gonna end up with hepatitis and in the hospital, so everything that Mom tried to get him to stop sucking his thumb didn't work, but I'm praying that he was stop.
Okay.
That's because your dad said to her, one thing you must do is get that thumb out of his mouth.
Okay, and this is a picture of Ethelbert and his wife Elizabeth, but here's Betty right here. And Jack, his real name was John, but he was always called Jack. And Elizabeth Glidden Crook, now that's Bob Glidden's aunt. And of course Ethelbert and Priscilla. Okay?
I inherited both those dresses.
You did, you did. You remember, you've probably seen them in pictures.
We always got the hand-me-down.
Yes. Would you like to speak about any of these? No. Okay.
That's amazing.
This is a great picture up here. This is going to be in our transportation one that we do in September. Yes.
Excuse me. That's too big,
This here is the screen-in porch.
Oh, so you found a picture with the whole house.
Well, this part here, you
Yeah.
see, this had vines all growing up with screens, so that the hired men could stay there. They stepped there and slept in the summertime because it was hot upstairs.
And let me see, oh, this is the Roadster. We have a man, Jim Layton, in town who is very knowledgeable on antique cars, motorcycles, trucks, and bicycles. But anyways, whenever we don't know exactly what something is, I send it to him, and he tells me. In fact, the wheels are not the same vintage as this, and he even knew the windshield is a different product then. So almost like our things out at the farm, out of the current, what do you call it, when they put them all together? Oh, those jitterbugs, but not a jitterbug, but it is a compilation of different parts. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, wow.
Dorothea, and I think this is Cheryl, am I right?
Yes.
And down here is Donna and her bonnet. Donna's always said going to the farm was a lot of fun. Because, oh, and this, I have different words on this one, Betty. You said Paul, but Donna says David. Is it Paul?
It's Paul.
It's Paul, okay. So we don't have to change that.
David wasn't born yet, right, Mary Ellen?
No, excuse me, that's me.
Right over here.
Right.
Yes.
And it couldn't be Paul because he's obviously younger than I, and Paul was 4 years older than I.
Oh, so it can't be Paul. Could it be David?
Oh, it's got to be David. And he's acting like David.
Okay. I have to change that then too.
Do you have Cheryl in that picture?
No, we do not have Cheryl. Oh yeah, we have Cheryl in the other picture. Can you go back one? This is Cheryl down here. Mary Ellen is holding Cheryl, I believe. Am I right? Yes.
Mary Ellen?
I don't think it could conceivably be my daughter, but I don't really remember. And looking at David, I don't think he. I think that's Cheryl. I think so.
Well, look at the outfits between the two pictures.
Oh, definitely. Okay.
I'd say these, these are done the same day. Okay, go ahead. Oh, I just love this. This is Betty's beer bottom. This Betty, she won this cup, and she was born in '33, but the cup came in '34 from the Sears and Roebuck Company. This is what's so much fun about local history, is getting these, getting the little nitty-gritty details. But anyway, so we think that's quite cute. We have a series of pictures here.
I have the same one of Dad, but the glass is cracked. It's at the house. It's the same.
I'd love to see
I'll
that
get it to
too.
you.
Okay, good. Let's go ahead. Now, okay, so this is Jack's kids, right?
No.
No? No.
It's me, Priscilla, and Jack.
Oh, no. Okay, yes, yes, that's Betty, Priscilla, and Jack, yep. And the same thing, and that's Jack. And I found this in, was it one of your things, Gary? I'm not sure.
I don't think so, not mine.
Okay. But Jack is Mr. Fix-It-Here, and I liked, what I liked about it was this CB thing being on there. Remember that was that wonderful technology we had?
That's my phone number.
What?
That's my brewer phone number. That must have been after he retired.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Because that's going to be the CB from down at camp. That's my brewer phone number when I was married to Maine.
Everybody got a caller. Okay, go ahead. Oh, and this is just a wonderful picture of the Burns Memorial School. I have an arrow here at Jack, and Priscilla's right here. You can see another one right behind Priscilla is, Betty's sitting right here, and behind her is Priscilla. But there are plenty of other people. Phyllis King, who married Scribner, but Phyllis King from Kings Mountain. Say it again?
Alfred Haskell.
Haskell,
And
right here.
Third row.
Was white, yeah.
Gloria Young.
So you still recognize these people, Priscilla?
Catherine Hardy, and Jean White.
Okay.
That's what she knows. She remembers those things.
Yeah, okay.
Remembers those things, but not the other records.
Okay. And
My father was tall.
Henry, what was it you always said? Was it Was it you that you were quoting Jack Henry?
Yeah, Jack always quoted to me that he was the biggest crook in town.
Always. Always.
Yeah. So that's what Henry told me this week as soon as he saw that. Okay, go ahead. Oh, I did put this in. So this was first the milk room, then the garage when they stopped farming. And in one of the town reports, I didn't look it up, but in the warrant, Thalbert Crook is requesting getting his garage back. Would they please build a fire station? He wants to park his cars. So, and of course, here's the Thalbert here, and he's receiving money, and I don't know any information. So if any of you know who these kids are and what the program was, that would be very helpful for us to know. Do you have anything to say, Betty? Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, go ahead. Dear Father Fox, it is with sadness that we inform you that Ina Cook passed away May 11th this year after 8 months of illness. She was in the hospital 3 times. Her daughter Dorothea is married, has 3 lovely daughters, and lives in Topsom, Maine. One son, Harvey, works for Tidewater and lives on the way to Kings Mountain, so called here in Orrington. Thalbert, my husband, and I live in the home place, and Thalbert is the full-time driver of the Orrington Fire Department truck. We sold our cows this past year and have gone out of farming. Our son Jack and his family have an apartment upstairs while our daughter Priscilla and her 2 daughters live with us. Our youngest daughter, Betty, who was born while you were here in East Orrington, is married, has 3 children, 2 boys and a girl, and recently has purchased a new home in Herman, Maine. This is maybe a 5th of the letter that she sent to Father Fox, who was the minister here.
Why does it say
She details all kinds of family information in Orrington. Go
It
ahead.
isn't Ina Cook, it's Ina Crook.
Oh, I see Paulette's taking notes. I made a mistake up here. Okay, go ahead. Donna. Oh, I'll just say it from here. Many of you see this on your way to church or when you're driving around this community. They took it from the old church and brought it over here, but this was bought by Thalbert and Elizabeth Crook for their late son-in-law who has been killed in the war, and this is a memorial plaque.
Brother-in-law.
Brother-in-law. Go ahead.
My mom and dad, Dorothy and Herbert Rood, for Donald Holyoke.
Your mother and father for Donald Holyoke, not Thalbert and Elizabeth.
No.
Okay. And I think I have that wrong. And the communion services in here, this is for the new church, and this is for the old church that was right across the street. This is Josie Quimby's pew bench on her front porch, and she told me it was East Orrington Church, but Betty doesn't really recognize it. Does anyone else have a pew from the church that looks like this one?
We have there's a community building which we have used as a church at the head of our lake.
Yes.
That we live on, Lakeview Plantation outside of Milo, Maine. And all of the pews in there were given to our church by this church when they...
So you have a number of them.
We have a lot of them, and I cannot tell you just from that picture.
Okay. Okay.
But anyone who is up there at the lake, you know, we'll arrange a visit and you can see whether it matches.
Okay. I would love to have a picture.
Okay.
And the story has always been that this steeple has been on 3 churches in Orrington. The South Orrington Methodist Church, then the original East Orrington Congregational Church, and now this church the steeple is on. However, I have found records that show that this East Orrington Congregational Church now has a fiberglass steeple up there. So maybe it was here for a little while, but I'm not sure if that's true anymore.
It is true.
It is still, which part? That it?
The steeple did originally come from the South Orrington Church. It might have been a replacement down there at one time.
But it's been
It's been
fiberglass?
those 3 churches, yes.
Okay, good, so it's still true. Okay. And I didn't really get, go ahead.
When we were kids, my aunt said, Aunt Dot, if my brother and my sister and I would raise the money to buy a saddle and a bridle, she'd buy us the horse. There's the horse. But we only had one horse. So, one of us would take a bike and the other one would take the horse. We'd go for a while and then we'd switch around. You know, but it was a lot of fun. I just wish we had two of them. But this is my sister and myself, 4-H. We did a lot of 4-H.
And I think Priscilla's trophy's here in your hands.
Her trophy, she's got a trophy right there. What was that for?
Our girls,
What was your trophy for?
oh, I don't know.
Probably because she was such a good girl.
Her trophy was because she had the grand champion.
No,
No, that was something else.
that's a different one up here.
Oh, this is a different one?
We did a lot of 4-H. And Priscilla had the grand champion of all breeds at the Bangor State Fair. What was that, year in 1948? She won a trip to Massachusetts to a fair there, Springfield.
Springfield Exposition.
Yep. So, is there a trophy here, Priscilla?
Yeah. And a blue ribbon.
Trophy and a blue ribbon. I had to stay home and cook my father's supper.
Okay. And this is the end. Betty, Donna, and Priscilla. And we also have a picture of Betty, Dorothea, Donna's mother, with Betty on the other side. But I thought I should include this picture because it really was Donna that got us all going. But Doug, thank you for all that you've done too. And we do have this generation picture down here. Go ahead.
Well, this is David and his son. What is his son's name? Adam. Okay, Adam and his son.
And why is that?
Now, David isn't here because he has cancer or had cancer, and he had to go to New York for a physical, so he didn't get here this year.
David also has a daughter.
But that is the last Crook male descendant of this generation.
Okay, so did you hear that? This is the last. Donna, do you want to say anything? This is the last slide.
I want to comment on the top photo, that Betty is handing me a little flower book that had been my mother's.
A little flower book.
From when, I think from when she was in junior high, and that get-together, she gave that to me to keep.
And I bet you treasure that.
I do.
Yes.
That came from when I was in grade school.
Mm-hmm.
That
Okay.
I got that, had your mother's name on it.
Yep, it did. Yep.
Okay. And I think I did thank the Crook descendants because there have been a number of people working on this. We've known about this PowerPoint for months. Right, my husband Alan? He's lived it. But I do want to thank everybody, but also Elizabeth Glidden Crook, because she may have passed away now, but her spirit definitely lives on in this family. It makes such a difference, the closeness that she has woven in the family, the scrapbooks, the stories she's passed on. Oh my goodness. And there's no time to show you, but there is 2 hours of her, how old is she, 90?
In the early 90s.
Early 90s, of them videotaping her and speaking, and it's just as clear as anything. No, these are the home movies. We have 2 hours of home movies.
That one up there is the video you're talking about, the one
This
that's
is
on
the
there.
video.
Well, that's showing now.
Oh,
That's it.
okay, well, she speaks very clearly. She talks about going to school at the Nickerson School down on the Maine Road. Lots of information that I've never heard before. Some of you people probably would have. But anyways, we do have 2 hours of video of the videotaping or DVDs of a Thalbert Crook. Oh, good.
Yeah, this was my mother's campfire girl's dress. And that was, she was just a teenager, a young teenager. In fact, I wore it. My mother was just a tiny thing. Would you please? I'm surprised I was able to wear it, but I was. But now this here,
Okay.
and this here my mother made. Isn't that beautiful?
That is so intricately made and it's soft. It's 3 feet, 3
Yeah, the
yards by
stripes.
3 yards.
And then she embroidered there and on this side. Bedspread.
It's,
But she
She did it first.
She knit, she never sat without something, either knitting or crocheting. She made evening gowns, she made coats. No, she never tatted.
Yes, she did.
Was it
No,
the
she
Yes, she
didn't.
did.
No, she didn't.
I'll find it out.
I've got tatting in my house, and she offered to teach me, and I regret that I didn't sit down
Well,
and.
I've never seen her tatted.
I sat down, some of us are not.
now see, I had heard that Thalbert tatted.
No, Thalbert did
Did
reupholstery.
you ever see her tat?
But this is the only color photo of the overhead that was on the screen before, and Grant made this frame evidently because it's held up all this time. But on the back, it's dated and it's got Graham's name on it and it's got the coordinates of the farm and it says 9/16/64 and it's was done by Northern Sky Views in Pittsfield. All that is right on the back. And this guy went around Orrington taking aerial photos and then tried to sell them after the fact. And so we have a lot of black and white copies, but this is the only color copy. This is airbrushed after the fact. But this is the building that still stands down here. That was the garage that was the original fire station. And this was hung in my grandparents' trailer up here on the Johnson Mill Road. Then it went to Florida. It was in my parents' home in Florida. Then it went to Ross' home with Mom. And now it goes to Neil, the last working person to work there. Oh, but I'm getting emotional. Oh, Neil,
Okay, are there any questions? Yes, Donna.
I don't have a question, I just was a little thick when you said, did I have anything to say? And I did want to thank a lot of people, unless you'd like to read my notes.
Yes. Okay, you're gonna come up? Good.
Yeah. Read my notes about you?
We owe you enough love.
About what?
About you? Maybe I'll be better at this now.
Hold it close.
I'm gonna do better. We wanted to thank Milo and Ina Crook as our matriarch and patriarch of this family to start with. Thalbert and Elizabeth Glidden Crook, with special credit to Elizabeth for keeping the scrapbooks of everything for so many decades. What a family gift and what a gift to the Historical Society. Like to give credit to the Bangor Daily News because we must for their articles and photos. A lot of family things have come out of the newspaper. To Betty Crook Renault, daughter of the Thalbert, who has worked with Judith Frost Gillis on this presentation. To Priscilla Crook Washburn, she's down front hiding, daughter of a Thalbert. To Barbara Linfanti Crook, daughter-in-law of Harvey. Sister-in-law to Mary Ellen. With special credit to Barbara, who has tirelessly worked on Crook genealogy for decades when people had no interest in it whatsoever. And now they do, thank goodness. Gary Seavey for his help, photographs. Irene for what you brought, daughter of Jack Crook. Thank you to the EOCC for hosting the Bean Supper, the PowerPoint presentation. Extend a special thank you to the church for sheltering the Crook family after the August 1940 fire. This church is very significant to the entire Crook family. Both happy and sad occasions have been shared by the family over many decades within this church. Thank you to Judith Frost Gillis
Yeah.
and the Historical Society for first posting the graduation photo of my mother, Dorothea Crook, and asking if she was from the Crook family, which started the ball rolling for this Crook family having its history documented by the Historical Society. Several of the Crook descendants have met and become friends with Judith and feel a kinship to her, especially since she lives right up the road, Johnsonville Road that is, from the Crook farm site. Thank you to her for all her tireless work in putting together the PowerPoint presentation and in the process getting to know many members of our Crook clan. If anybody feels they were not mentioned regarding photos, credits, I apologize for not naming you, and thank you to all who came to celebrate the Crook family.
Thank you, come in. Henry Wiswall is our historian. People are always stopping in at his farm and dropping off things and asking questions. He gives a lot to the community on this work, so. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, this is it.
Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony. Stacked a feather in his hat and called it
Macaroni.
spaghetti. Spaghetti.
Okay, Cameron, come on, do it. Bye. Okay, now like. Oh, shoot. Okay.
Hey,